It's the 22nd of June and this is your News Bite brought to you by eNCA.com. I'm Naledi Moleo, and in your news today, Cachalia says police are ready for anything ahead of the 30th of June. National Assembly Speaker denies protecting President Cyril Ramaphosa, and panic attacks halt Medicare 24 CEO's testimony at Madlanga Commission. A stern warning has been sent to protesters ahead of the unofficial July 30th deadline. Acting Police Minister Cachalia says officers will arrest anyone breaking the law. But he says those protesting peacefully will be protected. He says that while people have the right to protest, there is a risk of violent confrontations on the ground. Cachalia said from this week, police will be deployed in all the identified hotspots. Some groups have given illegal migrants until the end of the month to leave the country. Cachalia will, in the coming days, visit various provinces to monitor the rollout of extra manpower ahead of the so-called deadline. Let's listen in to what the acting minister had to say.
I am satisfied that the police are ready to deploy across the country. That deployment, in fact, will be initiated this week in a phased way across the country. The ministry will be supporting these efforts. Myself and the deputy ministers, Dr. Bishelo and Castle Matale, will be visiting the provinces that we can characterize as hotspots. Based on the information that we have. Tomorrow I will be in the Nyanga in the Western Cape, and I expect to be in Gauteng late in the week and then travel to KwaZulu-Natal. And as I say, the deputy ministers as well will be engaging with all the provincial premiers, the mayors, the Metro Police, the CPF leadership, the private security industry, to ensure that we have the resources in place to deal with any eventuality. We're prepared, but I am concerned about the tendency of some of those involved in these protests to resort to violence, intimidation, those taking the law into their own hands. I think that we should. I'm under no illusion that there are some forces involved in this kind of mobilization.
The National Assembly Speaker has rejected accusations that she's protecting ANC interests. Togo Didiza has decided not to oppose the president's bid to halt the impeachment process. She says she chose this route to maintain her impartiality. Didiza says Parliament will abide by the court's decision. The president wants the process halted, with the impeachment committee opposing the move. Didiza will also submit an explanatory affidavit. She says this route will allow her office to help the Western Cape High Court. The affidavit will examine the considerations Parliament made to implement the Constitutional Court judgment.
I don't think it's correct to actually say this is a party line. I've carefully considered all matters before me from the beginning of this process. And I think it's important to also remind our viewership and our listeners that actually the Speaker met this matter on her first day of her appointment, when a letter from Honorable Shibambo at the stage was served to the Speaker in that setting where we were still going to elect the president. I correctly advised that this matter, though it was dealt with on the 6th Parliament, but the EFF in particular appreciates that they had taken the matter to the Constitutional Court, and therefore all of us must actually await what the decision of the court will be. It took 18 months. So I never took a side of being dismissive nor in support of one party.
Medicare 24 CEO Mike van Wyk's testimony before the Madlanga Commission has been postponed after his lawyer said he was unfit to take the stand. Van Wyk was due to testify before the commission today. However, his attorney, Sandy du Plessis, filed an application requesting that his appearance be postponed. No new date has been set for his testimony. The businessman has been accused of shady Ekurhuleni deals linked to alleged crime boss Vusumuzi Cat Matlala and suspended EMPD Deputy Head Julius Mkhwanazi. His lawyer told the commission that Van Wyk consulted a psychiatrist on the 17th of June after suffering severe panic attacks and was subsequently placed on medication. On Sunday, the psychiatrist who filed an affidavit recommended that Van Wyk be admitted to a psychiatric facility for further evaluation after he suffered another panic attack.
When consulting with Mr. Van Wyk, he suffered yet again from severe panic attacks. Now, earlier this week, he saw a psychiatrist by the name of Dr. Arnold Lawrence.
Say earlier when? I'm sorry? Earlier?
Sorry?
You said earlier when?
Earlier, the first consultation, let me get my letter here, was on the 17th of June.
All right, yes.
If I may just place the history quickly in context without wasting any time. So Dr. Lawrence consulted with him and subsequently there too as well placed him on medication which he had to change, and he did change in terms of his letter as well. And he yesterday, when I finally spoke to the psychiatrist, Dr. Lawrence, he said to me the patient needs to be admitted to the psychiatric unit at Jacaranda Hospital, which has a separate psychiatric unit. So I phoned my colleague immediately to alert her in terms thereof, and said that obviously a medical certificate will be provided, but beyond that I also prepared a further affidavit from Dr. Lawrence himself that was now last night.
Meanwhile, Judge Mbuyiseli Madlanga ruled that Advocate Matthew Chaskelson SC would still address the commissioners on the contents of the evidence bundle, including statements, voice recordings, and video files.
I make the following ruling. The appearance of Mr. Van Wyk is postponed sine die. That's 1. 2, the evidence leaders will address the commissioners on the documents contained in the evidence bundle for Mr. Van Wyk and the statement bundle for Mr. Van Wyk and the voice and video files contained therein. If Mr. Van Wyk wishes to file a supplementary affidavit to clarify any of the material on which the evidence leaders have addressed the Commission, he will do so on or before 6 July 2026. If the evidence leaders want to recall Mr. Van Wyk for questioning on any issues after considering his supplementary affidavit, they will give him at least a week's notice if in any subpoena they serve on him.
Let's move on to this now. Alleged political fixer Brown Mogotsi returned to court today to launch a fresh bail application. Mogotsi faces charges of perjury, defeating the ends of justice, and unlawful possession of a firearm. He's accused of allegedly staging an assassination attempt on himself in Vosloorus. Mogotsi remains behind bars after he was denied bail earlier in June. The court found he was a flight risk after providing inconsistent residential addresses. His legal team presented new evidence, including concrete proof of his residential address. Moving further afield, it's game over for Keir Starmer. The UK Prime Minister has announced his resignation today. He's been under fire on multiple fronts for months. Came to a head with the election of his main rival, Andy Burnham, as an MP. Starmer informed the King of his decision and will remain in office till a successor is chosen. Nominations for a new Labour Party leader will open on the 9th of July. The new leader will enter Parliament when it reopens in September after the summer recess.
Standing up for our values and rebuilding our relationship with our allies in Europe. Change promised by a Labour government. Change fought for by a Labour government. Change delivered by a Labour government. But I know the question being asked now is not who was best placed to change the Labour Party, to take us into power and to begin the vital work of improving lives for millions of people. Those questions have been answered. The question my party is asking now is whether I am best placed to lead us into the next general election. I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of my decision. I will ask the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party to set out a timetable with nominations opening on the 9th of July and completed by the summer recess. In the case of a contest, this will ensure a new leader is in place before Parliament returns in September. I will remain in post as Prime Minister until the contest is complete, and I will do everything I can to ensure an orderly handover of power. I will also give my successor my full and unequivocal support, knowing that they will inherit a Britain that is far stronger and fairer than the one I inherited 2 years ago, better prepared for the challenges ahead, and better able to ensure the Labour Party secures a second term in office. I want to thank all of those friends and colleagues who have been at my side for these past 6 years or so, for their incredible commitment, service and support. I want to thank the brilliant Number 10 staff and our country's extraordinary civil service who dedicate their lives to public service. And when I leave the biggest job in the country, I shall spend more time on the most important job, being the best husband I can to my fantastic wife Vic, who has been a rock by my side through good times and bad, and being the best dad I can to my beautiful children, who are my pride and my joy. Thank you very much.
In business news, water outages at Libstar Dickenhall Foods facility have brought operations to a halt. Production has shifted to Montague in the Western Cape as part of a broader push to centralise operations and reduce risk. Municipal failures at the Dickenhall plant forced the company to truck in water, slashing profits by 17 million rand. Libstar says the move will streamline costs and boost efficiency, but the shift triggered labour disruptions and production setbacks, weighing on output. Meanwhile, tax season in South Africa is due to open in July, but in the UK, even royals are coming clean. King Charles III will reveal his personal tax bill later this week, becoming the first monarch to do so. According to law, he's not obliged to pay taxes, but his mother began paying voluntary taxes in 1993 for private income and from the Duchy of Lancaster. And in your sports news, Springbok captain Kolisi has come out in support of his fellow national team captains, currently on duty at the Cricket and Football World Cups, respectively. Kolisi has urged South Africans to continue backing Bafana Bafana's Ronwen Williams and Protea women's captain Laura Wolfart. The two national teams lost their opening matches at their respective World Cups. They have since bounced back as they both look to make knockout stages.
It was a tough first loss. They weren't really happy, but the way they answered the second game, the amount of attacking they did, but they just couldn't get the opportunity and fought till the end and obviously got the penalty. I really believe they have it in them, and I think we don't always get it right. Like our first game in the World Cup, we lost against New Zealand. So we just need to get behind them, because I know for a fact that Ronman and his team are giving their best at all times. So let's just be as positive as you can, just get behind them. And for them, I can't tell them what to do in soccer, but what Coach always tells us, the other team can't outwork you. The intensity of the game, that's really important, and I'm sure they know, because I know as South Africans, like Coach will tell us, like they want to see you work hard. They don't want to see you give up. You know, it must always look it must be a fight. It mustn't look like a fight. So that's all I can say from my side, but I can't talk anything technically. And then obviously all the best to the women's cricket team as well, who came back and won their second game. They're also doing their thing there, Laura and the girls. I mean, they also do well.
And in your international sports news, Cape Verde have backed up their shock World Cup debut result against Spain with yet another gallant result, this time against Uruguay. After frustrating 2010 champions La Roya in their opening match, the island nation continued their gripping campaign with a 2-2 draw with Uruguay. Helio Varela's second-half equaliser proved enough for a share of the spoils as the African side sits among the third best placed sides to advance. And finally, Grammy Award-winning South African musician Tyla is lending her voice to the new Toy Story 5 movie. Tyla plays an inflatable flamingo, bringing her South African flair to the film. The latest installment of Toy Story explores the modern theme of toys meeting tech. The movie had the best opening weekend of the year, ranking in over 2 billion rand in North America, a record for the much-loved Pixar franchise. The sequel, which debuted over Father's Day weekend, features Woody, the cowboy, Buzz Lightyear, and their gang of toys fighting for survival against competition from technology, particularly a tablet. That's how we wrap today's News Bite. For developments on these and more, keep an eye on eNCA.com and DStv Channel 403.